from 30,000 to 70,000. The Federal High Court in Lagos has convicted and sentenced a 41-year-old Canadian woman, Andrina Muju, to 11 years imprisonment for importing 35.20 kilograms of cannabis loud into Nigeria. Justice Dehinde Depolu, who handed down the verdict, also gave her an option of 100 million naira fine on the 2 accounts preferred against her by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. The judge convicted and sentenced Munju following her plea of guilty on the 2 counts. Earlier, when the convict was arraigned, the NDLEA prosecutor, Mr. Abu Ibrahim, told the court that Munji, without lawful authority, imported 35.20 kilograms of cannabis sativa, otherwise known as Canadian loud, into Nigeria, and during the inward clearance of inbound passengers on the KLM flight at the arrival hall of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, she committed the offense which contravenes Section 20, subsection 1A, and punishable under Section 20, subsection 2A of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Act Cap 30, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. Following a guilty plea, Ibrahim informed the court of the readiness of the prosecution to review the facts of the case, and the prosecution witness was called in to give evidence and tender relevant exhibits, while the prosecutor, after reviewing the facts of the case, urged the court to convict Munju as charged based on the evidence placed before the court and the exhibits tendered and her guilty plea. Ndakara said the convicts had vowed never to tour the path of criminality again and to be more careful in the future if given a second chance. Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke says he banned heavy-duty truck and trailers from plying the Olaiya flyover to ensure public safety and also ensure that there is no decision to demolish the bridge by his administration. Speaking through Olawale Rashid, a spokesperson, in a statement on Thursday, Adeleke said the decision to ban the heavy-duty trucks was also a resolution of the State Security Council, whose members raised alarm over the recent influx of trailers and trucks on Osun roads. He said public safety was a primary and secondary motivation behind the decision, and the statement came as a response to allegations of political bias by the opposition headed by the state chapter of the All Progressives Congress, while the leadership of the APC in the state called the move unnecessary and demanded proof to justify claims about the bridge's safety. The PDP, also countering the APC, said the decision taken by Governor Adeleke was based on the alarm raised by motorists plying the Olaiya flyover, while Adeleke in a statement insisted that he has a sacred duty to take steps to secure public assets and residents, especially in the face of 2 major developments in the last few weeks. Independent National Electoral Commission has planned to conduct mock accreditation of voters ahead of the Ondo State governorship election scheduled for November 16, 2024. The exercise, set for Wednesday, November 6, 2024, would test the deployment of the biomodal voter accreditation system and the real-time results upload to the INEC result viewing portal. INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, who discussed this, urged registered voters in the designated polling unit to participate in the exercise, adding that the mock accreditation would take place at 12 designated polling units across 6 local government areas in Ondo State. They are spread across the 3 senatorial districts of the Ondo State: Ondo Central, Ondo North, and Ondo South. He also said only registered voters with permanent voters cards from the unit will be allowed to take part, and no voter from outside the selected unit will be accredited by the Beavers during the exercise. In Ogun State, the governor, Dapo Abiodun, says no part of Ogun State has been left out of the developmental project in its administration in the 2025-2027 medium-term expenditure framework and the 2025 budget. According to him, projects were evenly distributed to the 3 senatorial districts in accordance with the 2024 budget. Abiodun, who disclosed this during the town hall meeting on the 2025 to 2027 medium-term expenditure framework and 2025 budget at BC Rodipe Event Center, Ijebu-Ode, lauded all stakeholders for their inputs during consultation towards putting together the 2024 budget, adding that his administration has approved the reconstruction of some major roads in the Ogun East Senatorial District. The roads, according to the governor, are Imoro Imegun Opobo Road, Ibeda Aid Praying Ground to Prison Road, Imoro Road in Ejibode, and the Odeluwu Ladeshi Ishiwo Road. The governor, who was represented by the Chief Economic Advisor and Commissioner for Finance, Mr. Dapo Okudabajo, said despite the fiscal pressures on its resources, its administration has also commenced the construction of over 64 kilometers of rural roads across the state, stressing that the construction of the rural roads marks pivotal steps in its administration's ongoing commitment towards expanding infrastructural development for easy rural accessibility and boosting agricultural productivity in the state. In Ekiti State, the High Court in Ado-Ekiti Division has ordered the deposition of the Oluroro of Iloro-Ekiti, Obafemi Olubesoye, over non-compliance with native laws and customs regarding coronation rites. The Ekiti State Executive Council approved the appointment of Olubesoye as the Oluroro of Iloro-Ekiti on December 21, 2019. The judge, Justice Jide Aladejana, made the declaration while delivering judgment in the suit filed by Prince Olakunle Fadere and 4 others, challenging Olubesoye and 4 others over his ascendancy to the throne, adding that Fadere and 4 others claimants had claimed in court that Olubesoye did not perform the necessary traditional rites, but the defendants dismissed the comments, saying the court lacked jurisdiction. In the judgment delivered on September 30, 2024, Justice Aladejana held that in the circumstances, the sole issue formulated is resolved in favor of the claimant against the defendants and the action of the claimant succeed. In the matter, the claimant approached the court in April 2022, seeking, among other things, a declaration that the failure and refusal of the first defendant to present himself for coronation rites by the Aropere in line with the native law and custom of Oluroro of Iloro-Ekiti is wrongful, and also canvassed a court order directing the second to 5th defendants to depose the first defendant as Oluroro of Iloro-Ekiti in line with the native law of Iloro-Ekiti. Federal Capital Territory Administration has flagged off construction of Connection Road CN8 from Arteria Road N5 to Arteria Road N1 and other adjoining roads within Sector Central B by Dakibiyu district in Abuja. At day 4 of the official flag-off ceremony of projects in FCT, Minister of FCT Nyesom Wike said the road project is for residents of Abuja to feel the impact of government services and welfare to the people, adding that all projects flagged up this week must be completed before May 2025.
Today is the 4th day of the month's work at night to carry out. And all these are done in the city. Tomorrow will be a nice camp to flag off the N5, which is being done by Julius Berger. And then from Monday, we will have the concentration to the satellite towns. So while we are giving 5 days here, we are going to take 4 days to be in the various area councils. We show the importance to attach. We show the importance the railroad agenda has for the development of a satellite town. I believe that this is the first time for so many years that people who reside outside the city can feel the impact of governance, the impact of government. But it's most unfortunate that you come to Abuja, every road, or virtually all roads have been abandoned, and then that it is important that we must have to fix all the roads in the city. Yesterday, somebody called my attention. In fact, there is no day that passes, you will not see text message. There are this street there, there are that street there, there are the other one behind my house. That shows that people now know that government is working.
The Executive Secretary of FCDA, Engineer Shehu Hadi Ahmad, also said the economic value of the roads to be constructed will connect to others to ease transportation difficulties.
Called Arterial Road N5 with Obasanjo, Olusegun Obasanjo Way, Road N1, another arterial road. In itself is called Asuko Okom Way. It's about 1.7 kilometers between the two major arterials, and it's an inter-district road because whereas the Obafemi Awolowo Road is founded within Jabi district, the Olusegun Obasanjo Way is within Daikibio district. And one very peculiar feature with this road is just like what we had yesterday, is an inter-district road. But this has additional peculiarity because it's opening up and extending services in. We said sector centers in one of our commissioning events. A sector center is a location of about 4 confluence of 4 districts. In this case, other than the Jabi and Daikibio, there is also Uye and Utako district. Within a sector center in planning concept, context, we have a lot of, it's an activity hub, and it is the tertiary activity hub, with the primary being a neighborhood, secondary being district, and then you have at the apex of each sector center. So there are multiple activities that will normally be provided within a sector center, and this is the sector center B.
Niger State Command of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has decorated 76 officers with new ranks. The promotion includes 23 assistant superintendents, 11 assistant superintendents 1, 10 chief superintendents to assistant commanders, 8 assistant superintendents to deputy superintendents, 15 deputy superintendents to superintendents, as well as 6 superintendents to chief superintendents, and 16 inspectors to assistant commandant 2. During the ceremony at the State Command headquarters in Mina, the Commandant Abdullahi Adamu Kabra congratulated the newly promoted officers, stressing that the annual promotion exercise was designed to enhance the performance of the officers, and the elevation was a call to redouble their efforts in protecting the Nigerian critical assets and infrastructure, which were the core mandates of the Corps. Canberra urged the officers to embrace their new responsibilities with professionalism, discipline and commitment, and warned that any act of indiscipline would not be tolerated by the command leadership. In a separate remarks, the special guest of honor, DCG Claudius Yakubu, retired, also congratulated the officers and encouraged them to remain focused and committed to their duties, stressing that their promotions were a result of hard work and to maintain the momentum, and advised them not to abuse their new responsibilities. Zamfara Joint Health Sector Unions has threatened strike actions in Ahmad Sanu Bukhara Specialist Hospital, Gusau, over the non-implementation of promotion arrears of members. The letter addressed to the Office of the State Head of Service by the unions in Gusau and jointly signed by the Chairman and Secretary of Joheshu, Sani Rabiu, and Aminu Abdullahi, respectively, called for immediate action on the arrears in respect of the consolidated health salary structure. COHE's adjustment approved by the state government in June 2024. The statement also said after the protest, the union resolved to give the state government a 2-week ultimatum for an indefinite strike and total shutdown of the hospital. You're watching the Global News and Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after. Welcome back. You're still watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. And now to the rest of our stories. Analysts have expressed dissatisfaction with the performance of the Ministry of Petroleum, stressing that it has not made any useful impact on the economy of the country. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program, Atlantic Blowout, public affairs commentator Mufasa Eyemusan said the Petroleum Ministry has not contributed meaningfully to the betterment of the country.
So much money has been spent on maintaining just one refinery. Not the three, just Port Harcourt refinery. And they keep giving us promises that in 2 weeks' time it will come upstream. It has become an unending 2 weeks. A 2 weeks of perpetuity. And you are doing cabinet reshuffle, you are sacking ministers, and nothing was said about the petroleum ministry. The group managing director is still seated there as GM. So for me, I really do not see any sincerity of purpose and intention. I think it's just for the optics. It's part of government activities. You know, like I've said before, it's not, reshuffling of cabinets does not translate.
The analyst also said the cabinet reshuffling can only be appreciated if it helps in improving the country's economy.
Governance. Already, we have a situation in this country where people have never complained of hunger and starvation before in this magnitude. So if the move the president has taken is going to improve governance, then we'll say it's a good one. But for now, I will not get excited by a mere cabinet reshuffle. You are reshuffling a cabinet, and at the same time, you told Nigeria.
Away from that, President Bola Tinubu has urged Senate to screen and confirm 7 ministerial nominees for his cabinet. The executive communication is contained in a letter read by President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, during plenary session on Thursday. The request has been referred to the Committee of the Whole of Expenditures Consideration.
I am pleased to forward to the Senate the underlisted 7 nominees for confirmation as ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They are Dr. Nentawe Jewada, Muhammadu Maigari Dingyadi, Bianca Odinaka Odumewu Ojukwu, Right Honorable Yusuf Abdullahi Atta, Idi Mokhtar Mahai, Dr. Jumoke Oduwale, Subaba Said Ahmad, PhD. While I hope that this request will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the Senate.
President Bola Tinubu made the new appointments following the dismissal of 5 ministers in a cabinet reshuffle that took place on Wednesday. Chairman of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee investigating activities at the Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited and the National Iron Ore Mining Company Itape, both in Kogi State, have agreed to tackle the issues surrounding the Ajaokuta Steel Company. The committee, led by Senator Adeniyi Adebomire, who discloses during the meeting with the workers and management of the company, said the committee visited the steel plant with a firm commitment to uncover why the Ajaokuta steel plant remains non-operational decades after its establishment. In his welcome address, the acting chief executive of the company, Kanwai Joseph, expressed gratitude for the committee's interest in the company and recognized the trust placed in the management national assets and expressed commitment to transparency and accountability. He also said the Ajaokuta Integrated Steel Complex, conceived in 1979, was designed to include a multilingual process plant and engineering complex and various auxiliary facilities. The project was envisioned to stimulate vital upstream and downstream industrial and economic activities critical for diversifying the economy towards industrialization. House of Representatives has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to increase the availability of new 200 naira, 500 naira and 1,000 naira notes and begin gradually withdrawing the old ones. The Green Chamber also called on the CBN to direct commercial banks to distribute more new notes and phase out the old currency. These resolutions follow the motion of urgent public importance by Honorable Victor Ogene, representing Anambra during plenary on Thursday. Ogene, while highlighting the difficulties caused by the 2023 currency challenge, including the scarcity of new notes and subsequently legal issues, reminded the House that the Supreme Court has ruled that the old notes will no longer be the legal tender after December 31st, 2024. He expressed concern that the CBN has not started public awareness campaigns to prepare Nigerians for the transition with less than 2 months remaining to the deadline. Also criticized the CBN for continuing to circulate old notes instead of gradually replacing them with the new ones.
Concerned that the Central Bank of Nigeria has not shown any sign of sensitization or kickstarted any awareness program to remind Nigerians about this important economic policy in order to make them prepare for the deadline of December 31st, 2024. Worried that Nigerians will be plunged into more chaotic situations than what happened in February 2023, when the old 200, 500, and 1,000 naira notes shall cease to be legal tender and medium of exchange for goods and services as from January 1, 2025. Disturbed that the CBN ought to have started public awareness, such as jingles, television and radio announcements, social media postings, flyers, daily newspapers, and periodic magazine publications 3 months before the deadline. But now, with about 2 months to the deadline, there is nothing to show that the Apex Bank is prepared for the exercise.
Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2007. The House expressed concern that such actions, if true, undermines fairness, transparency, and public trust in critical institutions while fostering marginalization and inefficiency.
Concern that if this allegation of lopsided employment and extra budgetary expenditure are true, the principles of fairness, equity, and transparency are violated. Eroded public trust in critical institutions, reduce operational efficiency, and will foster a sense of marginalizations and hopelessness among sections of Nigerian populace. Worried that the alleged malpractice could undermine the capacity of the Federal Inland Revenue Services, the Corporate Affairs Commission, and Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporations, NDIC, to effectively carry out their mandate, resulting in inefficiency that may affect tax collections, corporate regulation, and the stability of Nigerian financial system.
Additionally, the House urged the federal government to direct agencies involved in electricity management to halt billing and disconnections of public tertiary institutions under the current tariff system. The further directed the reversal of the service-based tariff for these institutions to either Band C or Band D, following a motion by Honorable Abubakar Fulata.
Concerned that due to inadequate funding by federal government, public institutions are unable to operate optimally. Thus, the recent hike in electricity tariffs and the consequent power cut for defaulting institutions has thrown them into total darkness, putting
Honorable Omar Bill, approach the chair.
At risk and security of students and staff in jeopardy. Also concerned that the attendant riots by students due to inability to use important learning equipment resulted in the closure of those of the affected institutions. Or worried that grounding of academic activities in Nigeria could lead to incessant frustrations among students and potentially have severe socio-economic consequences.
Tertiary Education Trust Fund Establishment Act Amendment Bill has scaled second reading on the floor of the House of Representatives. The amendment bill seeks to provide 4 additional conditions for accessing funds for capital projects by beneficial institutions in Nigeria. The bill seeks to encourage administrators or managers of government institutions to work hard to provide their own infrastructure to enable them access the TED fund for further development. The bill, sponsored by the Speaker Abbas Tajuddin and Babajide Benson, seeks to amend the TED Fund Act 2011, proposed to amend Section 7 of the existing Act by inserting 2 new subsections after subsection 5. And while leading the debate on the bill, Benson said TED Fund was established as an intervention agency to address the lack of or poor funding of government institutions hitherto. He said the mandate of the agency also included addressing infrastructural decay, lack of conducive environment for teaching and learning leading to low, poor morale of both academic and non-academic staff of higher institutions in Nigeria. The lawmaker decried the constant experience has shown the lack of capacity, integrity, laziness, and misappropriation of funds characterized many of the government-owned institutions, and also argued that the objective of TED Fund is not to take over infrastructural development in tertiary institutions, but to assist in addressing infrastructural deficits where the institutions have challenges. Federal government has filed a 6-count charge against 9 defendants for allegedly publishing false information on October 16 that the Department of State Service laid siege to the National Assembly over moves to impeach the Senate President Godswill Akpabio. The charge was filed before the Federal High Court in Abuja on October 21st by the Deputy Director, Public Prosecution of the Federation, A.A. Yusuf, and listed as defendants are the incorporated trustees of other paper on whose online platform the alleged false information was allegedly published, as well as others and described as false information under Section 24, subsection 1A of the Cyber Crimes Prohibition, Prevention, etc. Act 2015 as amended 2024. No date has been set for arraignment of the defendant. Federal government has inaugurated a committee of high-powered law experts from various fields to review, update, and consolidate updated Nigerian laws within 6 months. The law review and updates are part of the ongoing efforts of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to promote the rule of law and access to justice in line with the policy objectives of enabling socio-economic growth and advancing legal reforms. Inaugurating the committee on behalf of the federal government, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Prince Lateef Fagbemi San asked the committee members to be meticulous in the execution of the tasks placed before them and challenge the law experts to focus on identification of outdated laws, which according to him are not in line with the contemporary needs and values, as well as harmonization of conflicting laws to ensure uniformity and consistency. Lateef said the law is constantly dynamic and there is need for continuous review or reform of the body of laws to address contemporary socio-economic development, as well as resolve conflicting and obsolete provisions with the ultimate aim of improving the administration of the justice and promotion of the rule of law. The 2022 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, called for Nigeria to embrace productivity and improve its trade contributions to the Commonwealth. Speaking as a guest speaker at Liverpool John Moores University on the topic, harnessing the Commonwealth advantage for trade and investment, Obi, via a statement on Thursday, stressed the need for Nigeria to move away from its consumption-driven economy. He said with a population of over 2.5 billion, about a third of the world's population with a GDP of over $13 trillion is expected to grow to $20 trillion by 2030, while the Commonwealth presents great opportunities for growth and development, properly harnessed. The event, organized by the Liverpool Commonwealth Association, featured notable attendees, including Mark Blendell, Lord Lieutenant of Messiah Side, Richard Kemp, Lord Mayor of Liverpool, and Garth Dallas, Chair of the Liverpool Commonwealth Association. Obi decried Nigeria's contribution to the Commonwealth economy that had remained low due to its lack of productivity, and highlighted the role of youth in shaping the future, calling for the Commonwealth to leverage its youthful energy and innovation for a sustainable environment. Analysts has blamed the People's Democratic Party for its inability to settle internal problems because of greed for political power. Speaking on the Atlantic Television Network program Open Conversation, a public affairs analyst, Ugochukwu Ifeanyichukwu, said members of the PDP are bereft of ideas.
The trends in politics, the Nyesom Wike angle. PDP has, I watched a program, an interview granted by the Deputy Publicity Secretary of PDP last night, where he almost all the things I've said. I told you that the PDP, those who are shouting, use the sledgehammer on Wike, are bereft of ideas and what the main issues are. What killed the whole thing is that for the new PDP remembered what happened, how they lost 5 governors to the new PDP before the 2015 general elections. They have now realized that they did not toe the line of history, which some people told them. They now jettisoned another 5G governors in 2023. What happened? You can't have a divided house and go to war and win. Even the Bible says it, the good books. So what happens here is that they have seen clearly the handwriting of the war. And I am happy that most of them went to that caucus meeting, from what I heard yesterday, and speak what I have been saying here. I'm not a member. He said that they pointed out that, are you people calling on Nyesom Wike? But that infraction started from the hanky-panky played by Atiku and the Yochi Ayo.
During the 2023 elections.
That is, and now they are.
The analyst also said the factions in the PDP should come together and correct their mistakes if they are ready to take over power in 2027.
There's one house of Bauchi State where the meeting was held. Only 5 governors attended. At the end of the day, they saw clearly that they couldn't even garner a vote to carry out what they want to do. So I am very happy and I am so grateful that many people has seen the handwritings on the, and they have seen the call of reason for which Nyesom Wike has stood his ground and said that the right thing was. They recall that those infractions should have been corrected. What was it that Atiku would have not told Anayu to go? Because he reminded us, I mean, the national publicity.
This is coming after the People's Democratic Party announced late on Tuesday that its planned National Executive Committee meeting, originally scheduled for Thursday, has been postponed to 28 November 2024. Federal Executive Council has approved a loan of about $618 million from a group of financiers for the procurement of 6 fighter aircraft and ammunition for the Nigerian Air Force. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who disclosed this in Abuja following the conclusion of the FEC meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu, said the Federal Executive Council approved 740 billion naira for the Berger stretch of the Abuja-Kano route, among other high-profile road projects. Idris, who stood in for the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, said there is an approval for an agreement for the elimination of double taxation with respect to taxes on income and prevention of tax evasion and avoidance between the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of the People's Republic of China. This is coming after in October the Air Force said it was acquiring 24 M346 combat jets and 10 AW109 Tracker helicopters as part of a fleet renewal strategy, and the first 3 M346 jets are expected to be delivered by early 2025, with subsequent deliveries running until mid-2026. Federal Capital Territory High Court is adjourned to November 14, 2024. The case brought by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission seeking first charge against the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, and 2 others, Rotimi Oyedepo San, who appeared for the EFCC at the Federal Capital Territory High Court, said at the hearing that the last adjourned date, the court issued a public summons against the first defendant, directing that same be published and that the charge be pasted. Justice Marianne Aneni, however, interjected, stating that she did not ask that the charge be passed, but also only the summons, while Oyedepo said they expected the first defendant to be in court on November 14th, making reference to the 30-day duration of the summons and therefore sought adjournment to November 14 for the arraignment of the three defendants. He also said the matter was for arraignment and that they were ready, adding that the defendants were all independent and should be so treated. And while insisting that the court should adjourn to November 14th, the EFCC lawyer notified the court that there was an application for the enforcement of the fundamental rights of the second defendant and that the oral application could not be taken. She therefore adjourned to 14th and 20th November for response of the first defendant to summons in arraignment. Nigeria Education Loan Fund has received over 350,000 applications and disbursed over 10 billion naira. It also promised to disburse 9 billion as tuition fees and stipends. Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of NELT Fund, Akitunde Sawyer, who made the revelation when during a meeting with the House Committee on Student Loans, Scholarships and Higher Education Finance in Abuja, said the scheme is not discriminatory and the applications are coming at an average of over 1,000 per day, while special provisions for students living with disabilities are being made. He also said attention are focused in addressing the barriers to girl child education, as well as every Nigerian girl child, regardless of the location or background, have access to the education they deserve. He also disclosed that the scheme have also been reaching out to segments of the nation that feel left behind, particularly the Southeast, and have made significant progress in engaging these communities with multiple rounds of sensitization in the region, resulting in a surge in applications. According to the MD of NELT Fund, with 70% of the country's population under the age of 35 failing to provide access to education for this segment, exposes Nigeria to a future fraught with instability and violence, adding to the fund that adding that the fund is an institution designed to bring succor to the common man, especially in these challenging economic times. Chairman of the committee, Honorable Boyega Isiaka, described NELT Fund as a very critical agency created not only to provide loans, but it's about creating a future where every Nigerian youth has the opportunity to realize their potentials and contribute to the nation's growth. He said the committee was concerned about the ability of the management to manage the enterprise, which has so much potential.
With 70% of our population under the age of 35 failing to provide access to education for this segment, exposes Nigeria to a future fraught with instability and violence. This intervention by President Tinubu could not have come at a better time.
United Nations Children's Fund has tasked the federal government to improve its commitment to ensuring that children across the country do not lack polio vaccination. The chief of the UNICEF field officer in Kano, Rahama Farah, who disclosed this at the commemoration of World Polio Day, said the event is to raise awareness of the importance of immunization of children to ensure their well-being, adding that immunization remains the most cost-effective intervention to confront vaccine-preventable diseases, especially in children under 5 years of age. He said despite the progress made in improving immunization coverage, Nigeria continues to face challenges in getting all eligible children vaccinated, adding that Nigeria has an estimated 2 million zero-dose children, while zero-dose children are at substantial risk of many diseases, including polio. He said the move required strong commitment and leadership from everyone, the government, traditional, religious and community leaders, health workers, influencers as well as actors and the media to achieve the desired objectives, stressing that there is need to adequately fund the health sector, especially before and during polio vaccination campaigns. He urged local government chairmen to get actively engaged and support immunization activities, including their supervision of polio eradication efforts and their participation in review meetings during vaccination campaigns to ensure every child is vaccinated in their respective local governments. Here now is business news. Federal government has issued a final 7-day ultimatum to Julius Berger to accept his proposal of 740.79 billion naira to complete the rehabilitation of the 82-kilometer section 2 of the Abuja-Kaduna-Zaria-Kano Road or risk contract termination. The Minister of Works, David Umahi, said the project, which has lingered far too long on the negotiations table, must be resolved within the next 7 days. Umahi gave the new ultimatum when he was paid a courtesy visit by the new Managing Director of Julius Berger PLC, Dr. Pierre Lubash, who was accompanied by the outgoing Managing Director, Dr. Laz Rucha, at the Works Ministry headquarters in Abuja. A statement signed by the Special Advisor on Media to the Minister of Works, Oji Uchenna, said the meeting was to introduce the new executive officer to the minister, while the latest development follows an earlier threat to the minister to revoke the contract which is awarded to the company in 2018 when former President Muhammadu Buhari was in power. The minister expressed disappointment that Julius Berger PLC, a company that has enjoyed years of support from the federal government and state governments, is not being realistic with its contract pricing, particularly given Nigeria's current economic challenges, and urged the contractors to accept or reject the approved revised contract sum for completing the section within 7 days or risk contract revocation, adding that the government will not be held hostage by contractors' demand for unrealistic pricing and additional cost. Minister for Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has visited the Secretary General of the World Meteorological Organization, Professor Esso Andreas Salou, to solicit operational support for Nigeria Meteorological Agency. The minister sent us his request on areas of capacity building and launching a national roadmap in respect of the early warning for all initiative by the United Nations, among others. Keyamo made this known through a post on his X handle on Thursday. The minister, who had visited the Secretary General in this company of the DG of NIMET, Professor Charles Anosike, Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland, Ambassador Abiodun Adejola, and some technical staff of NIMET, also requested WMO support for NIMET in implementing digital climate advisory services for sectoral activities in Nigeria. According to the minister, training opportunities for aeronautical meteorological personnel in Nigeria is of utmost importance, appealing to the Secretary General to help Nigeria out in the capacity building of the officials in Nigeria. Up next, international tidbits. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called countries around the world to strengthen their commitment to multilateral cooperation in addressing global challenges. Guterres made the call on the occasion of UN Day, and in his message, Guterres underscored the UN's role since its founding in 1945 as a platform for nations to work together on peace, development, and humanitarian issues, and highlighted the importance of the United Nations in finding solutions to today's most pressing issues, including poverty, eradication, sustainable development, conflict resolution, and the fight for equality, particularly for women and girls. The Secretary General also pointed to the growing need of the UN to tackle modern challenges such as climate change, artificial intelligence, digital technology, and space exploration, and also drew attention to significant milestones achieved during the General Assembly in September on the adoption of the Pact for the Future, the Global Digital Compact, and the Declaration on Future Generations. While the organization continues to reform and modernize, the Secretary General reaffirms that the UN's core mission remains rooted in the values of the UN Charter and the protection of human rights and dignity for all people. Guterres called for concrete collective action to achieve peace, shared prosperity, and a sustainable future. The Secretary General concluded by urging all nations to continue supporting the ideals of the United Nations. India is evacuating nearly 1.5 million people from the eastern states of Odisha and western Bengal as Cyclone Dana nears. With landfall expected within the next 24 hours, authorities have deployed the thousands of relief workers and set up temporary camps to safeguard those in cyclone's path. While the Indian Meteorological Department predicts the cyclone will strike coastal areas with wind speeds between 100 to 120 km per hour, and heavy rainfall is anticipated. Transportation services have already been heavily impacted, with over 200 trains and numerous flights cancelled, particularly at the Bhubaneswar and Kolkata airports, while Odisha Chief Minister Mohan Charan Majhi reassured residents, stating that the state has made comprehensive preparations to ensure public safety. More than 1 million people have been evacuated in Odisha alone, while West Bengal is evacuating over 300,000 people from the vulnerable coastal areas, while fishermen The region has a history of severe storms, including the devastating 1999 cyclone that killed over 10,000 people in Odisha, while another cyclone claimed at least 16 lives in India and Bangladesh. Here now is ATN Sports News. Nigerian Super Eagles moved up 3 places in the latest men's ranking released by the Federation of International Football Association. FIFA released the latest men's ranking on its official website after 3-time African champions were previously ranked 39th in the world, while the Super Eagles also moved from 6th to 4th position in Africa. The West Africans defeated the Mediterranean Knights of Libya 1-0 in the 2025 African Cup of Nations qualifying fixture, their only engagement in October, and the Atlas Lions of Morocco, Terregan Lions of Senegal, and Pharaohs of Egypt are the only team ranked above the Super Eagles on the continent. Argentina remain on top of the ranking with France and Spain in 2nd and 3rd position respectively, while England and Brazil completed the top 5 teams in the world. The next FIFA World Ranking will be published on November 28th. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola has hailed winger Simvo following his side's Champions League 5-0 win over Sparta Praha on Wednesday. Savinho was impressive as Man City defendant Sparta Praha at the Etihad Stadium. The likes of Phil Foden, Erling Haaland, John Stones and Matheus Nunes all scored for the Premier League champions. Speaking after the game, Guardiola said the 20-year-old is playing really good and has a high level. Entertainment news. Nigeria rapper and activist Falarin Falana, popularly known as Falz, has responded to recent allegations made by social media influencer Martins Ose, known as Very Dark Man, insisting that the claims against him are baseless and defamatory. Falz said before the controversy he knew little about Very Dark Man's activism, and it all began when Very Dark Man made serious allegations that Falz and his father, Femi Falana, had colluded with certain individuals to manipulate justice. According to Falz, Very Dark Man accused him of having a homosexual relationship with popular crossdresser Bobrisky. Questioning the rapper's credibility as an activist, he criticized the influencer for making unfounded claims without evidence. Veteran Nollywood actor Kanayo has probed the federal government following the heavy military and police presence in the southeastern part of the country. Kanayo, in a video on his Instagram page, raised concerns while highlighting humiliation faced by travelers in the region. While comparing the region with his experience from Ibadan to Lagos, the actor said he left the Felele Olorusongo area of Ibadan at 7:15 in the morning, and on arrival in Lagos State at exactly 8:15, he didn't see any police or army checkpoints. Popular Nigerian songstress Simi has advised parents on how to train the girl child. The singer, in a video on her Instagram page, advised parents to teach the female child to take control of their financial future and not to be dependent. While frowning at the notion of some parents praying for a wealthy man to marry their daughters, Simi urged parents to nurture the girl child not to be dependent on men. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. We told you the helicopter accident killed 3 persons. Scott Joe's Canadian lady. Federal government prosecute journalists over report on Ababio. FG issues ultimatum to Julius Berger. Guterres calls for global unity. We also told you Guardiola hails Man City stars. You must prove allegation that was false. I am Wendy Aguma. Thank you for watching and good evening.
Yeah. beyond the lines, across the ocean, to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara. We bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.